In this video, we are joined by a very special guest, Cordy in California. We're talking about these after hours events at Disneyland. Are they worth it? We're going to talk about the Autopia news today, about possibly electric vehicles coming to the attraction. We're going to talk about this entertainment over at Epcot. We have a lot to discuss today with Cordy in California, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Mr. Michael Ebba, and the Italiano up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We have a stacked show for you today. Before we get started, though, I'm going to introduce my fantastic panel. Cordy, first time on the show. It is an absolute pleasure and honor having you. And if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, about where they can find you on social media, and also your CHOC Walk situation.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is quite an honor. So I'm happy to be here. Cordy in California on YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. TikTok too, but those three I'm most active on. And yes, I'll be participating in the CHOC Walk, which is the Children's Hospital of Orange County. So they do a walk every year, and it's partnering with Disneyland. So I'll be doing that in July and raising funds for that cause and walking with a bunch of our Park Streamer friends. So it ought to be an exciting day.
Awesome. And I'll be linking all of this down below in the description. So make sure you follow her on all her socials and also the CHOC Walk. All that will be in the description down below. And again, Cordy, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today. Yeah, and then over here we got the one, the only, the Italiano, George. Welcome back, sir. How long has it been since I've seen you, brother?
What was it, about 2 hours?
Just about. Where can they find you on social media, sir?
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is, Mr. Sticky Icky. And then down below, we call him our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the one and only Mr. Michael Webba. Michael, welcome back, sir.
OG, thank you so much for having me on today's episode. This is going to be super exciting. And people, if you cannot find me here, I'll be outside saving the city. So that's where I'll be. But besides that, I'm on Twitter at Michael Ebba 1991, Instagram, Michael Ebba, and then also here on OG55.
There it is. All right, let's dive into our first topic, which is Autopia. We actually got some Autopia news today, which is kind of interesting. This is courtesy of the one and only Mr. Scott Gooston. We love Scott. We like to use his stuff as much as we can. But it says here, Disneyland Resort is planning to replace the pure gas engines used in the Autopia cars in the next few years. Disneyland officials confirmed to the LA Times. It says here, quote, since opening with Disneyland Park in 1955, Autopia has remained a guest favorite, most popular with young kids experiencing driving for the first time. Spokesperson Jessica Good said in an email. As the industry moves towards alternative fuel sources, we have developed a roadmap, no pun intended, to electrify this attraction and are evaluating technology that will enable us to convert from gas engines in a few years. George, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Autopia moving away from gas and going electric?
So, honestly, when I first heard this, initially my first thought was, okay, well, we know exactly, because there was a lot of chatter in the Disney community that, is it possible that if Avatar comes to Disneyland Park, this would be the location, so Autopia is on its way out and what have you. And then you and I had a conversation on the phone today, and it was like more so in the notion that this is within what to 2030 that it's due, or is it? Okay,
so yeah, what George is referring to is there's a law in California that once in 2030 you're not gonna be able to have these kind of these gas guzzler little engines, you know what I'm saying? So Disney has to figure something out pretty much by then with Autopia. Either they got to replace the attraction or they're going to have to make them electric. Is by 2030, I believe.
So a lot of people were saying, okay, so Avatar's not going there, what have you, but in a sense, now there's chances are it's not going to, but in the unlikely event, when Disneyland Forward gets approved, as I said, I'm not saying if, I'm saying when. I'm highly optimistic about that. That things may take time, especially like with the Avatar films coming out. They may want to wait to see how well they do, which obviously with James Cameron's track record, I'm for sure it's going to be a banger, as our friend Kaylee says. So there could be the possibility, and people are saying, well, with them getting the electric cars, that pretty much solidifies that Autopia is staying. Well, it may stay for the time being, and depending on how long it's going to take for Avatar to be completed or whatever is going to go in that area, because we've seen Imagineer Scott Trowbridge kind of hint in that area that they're going to be working on something eventually. So I think honestly, in the time up until that point, I'm all for the cars becoming electric. I think honestly that especially at Walt Disney World, I know that they're just talking about Disneyland, but the gas smells, the fumes on that is just like, it gives you a headache after a while, So I think to modernize it, to kind of bring it up into the Tomorrowland feel, I'm all good with. But I think by them doing that, that doesn't necessarily mean that the Autopia is going to be staying for the long run.
Yeah, there's a couple things here. Like, I thought Avatar would be perfect in that spot between like Autopia, Submarine Lagoon, and the motorboat area, because I think Avatar as a franchise is a perfect kind of transition between Tomorrow and Fantasy. It's just kind of that perfect IP to fit right there. So that was my personal preference. But with this news of them kind of modernizing the cars, yeah, that sort of splashes some cold water on that theory, or that desire to have that franchise in there. It might happen, like George says, eventually, but if they're modernizing, it's going to be a ways away. Now we're hearing that Avatar is likely going to go into DCA, so that's a whole other conversation. Overall, I mean, here's the thing: it's like the problem with this. I feel like even electric cars aren't really futuristic. It's very like normalized right now. Like a lot of people have electric cars. So it's like, it's not even taking it to the future by making them electric at this point. It's very much modern day. Yeah. And the other issue I have is with Autopia is that not so much in Florida, but with Disneyland, it takes up so many acres and land. And we in California at Disneyland Resort, like, big swaths of land are hard to come by, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to waste it on kind of this like outdated attraction. Now, it's an opening day attraction, so there's a lot of emotion. Like a lot of fans really do love it, and that's fair. For me personally, I would probably look to get rid of it and put something else in there, but it doesn't look like they're planning on getting rid of it anytime soon if they're modernizing. But Cordy, what are your thoughts on this news about them kind of modernizing the Autopia cars? Do you like this idea, or are you kind of
It's kind of curious that they didn't do it sooner, but I guess, everything takes money. And I think it's a great idea. Personally, I'll kind of miss the fumes.
It does add to the experience, right?
And the sound, like, when you walk by, like, those are those things that are like, I may not go on it every time I visit the park, but I walk by and, you can hear the sound that like the cars make. And so there's just those kinds of things, and not to say to hold on to something on nostalgia alone, because they're, as you were saying, land is precious. So they have to really be strategic on, what they plan for the future. But I think it's a great idea. I think overall, we probably need that change, just, environmentally, and and I will say, yes, if you're in it too long, like when you get stuck in traffic on Autopia, the fumes can get a little, little much. So, I think it's a good move. I'm curious if, I guess we'll know what kind of the future of Autopia is, if they make changes or don't make changes to the tracks. I don't know, like if they were to revamp the whole thing, then, it might make me wonder, oh, okay, I guess they're, planning on keeping it and that is, it'll be there in the future. But if they just kind of leave it as is and we find that they're, I don't know, I don't know how they're going to source these vehicles, but, I guess all of that will come into play, right? Is it just kind of gives you a clue if it's temporary or not.
That's a great point. You make a lot of great points, Cordy. Actually, because you're right. The sounds and the smell, as funny as that sounds, the sounds and the smell really add to the Autopia experience. And what is this attraction going to feel like when the vehicles are very, very quiet? That's going to be almost like a completely different experience, right? I mean, that changes the whole dynamic of this attraction.
The sounds and the smells, you basically just described a gym locker room.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, George. That's exactly it. And then another interesting point you brought up, Cordy, was that what are they going to do with the track, right? So right now it's a pretty sizable attraction, but what if, and this is a big what if, we're just speculating, but what if they shorten the track? What if they cut the track in half? They keep Autopia, but it's not the size it is now. That would also speak to what maybe their future plans of some of this other stuff in the area might be. So that's interesting. They might not get rid of it, but they might also shorten it to give it less of a footprint.
Because they did that for Magic Kingdom. And when they showed us the location of where Tron was going to go, we all thought the Speedway was gone. We thought, okay, that's where Tron's going to go. And when then they showed the updated concept art where it showed Space Mountain to the right and then Tron, and then below it you could see part of the Speedway track, and we thought, oh, they're keeping the Speedway, but they just kind of shaved the top part of it. So that there is a possibility, right? You guys may get a little snip.
Little haircut for Autopia, right? Haircut for Autopia. And Mr. Michael Eva, what are your thoughts on this, man? Electric vehicles coming to Autopia. I saw you tweeting today about this, getting spicy on Twitter, Eva.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, okay, because I'm just gonna say what it is, right? I don't care for this attraction. Do I hate it? No, I do not hate it. I just don't care for it. When I go to Disneyland, I barely go on it. I just kind of pass by it. Yes, here's the thing. I do like the smell, so I kind of like that kind of gasoline engine smell. I think it smells really good, And you're right, Cordy. Right, the sounds when you walk by, I'm not paying attention to it, but I feel and hear the ambience and the cars going by, right? So if you have these silent cars, is it going to be just kind of just going around the track, So
again, gym locker room.
Yeah.
Right. It's gonna change it. It's gonna be a whole different feel with those vehicles like that, right?
Right, but here's the thing. I wish they would just completely gut that entire area. Take out Autopia, take out the subs, leave the rock work, or maybe change up the rock work, have some water and stuff like that. Because I think if you look at that area, you got water, rock, and a bunch of trees and grass, right? So that's prime time for anything that's nature-y or what have you, Avatar, or maybe you can put a frozen place in there because you have rock work and then the Matterhorn for snow, what have you. Now that's just my personal opinion. I wish they would just gut that entire thing and redo it. And then people's argument was well, the monorail track. Well, Disney, they can rework that and move that around. That's not an obstacle to them. Now, I know a lot of people love the subs or love the Autopia, but the subs, they're very slow loader, very slow attraction. I find it meh. Autopia, here's the thing. I'm glad they're going to make them electric now. They should have done this a long time ago. My hope for these cars is that they're more, what do you call it? When you hit the gas, when you accelerate, the car has a better response time to what you're doing.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
now it's very laggy. So I hope that they update the controls of the way the car works. I think that would make it a lot more fun, in my opinion. So it's coming. Cool. I want to see what these new updated electric cars look like. So hey, we're getting something new, bring it on. But I do hope eventually this whole thing does go away.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I hope eventually, long game, hopefully it's going to be something a little bit more immersive.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too with Disney, right? Like Disney's all about like the IP and the merchandise
Right.
and all that. So they're not making much ancillary like money on Autopia. Autopia is not moving any kind of merch, nothing like that. If you were to take out Autopia and even the subs, I know it's Nemo, but even the subs and the motorboat and put like say Frozen, hypothetically. Now you're moving merch. Now you can put a restaurant there themed to Anna and Elsa. Now you're making some big money there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
From a business standpoint.
And I say take out the subs, but keep the lagoon. The lagoon aesthetically is very pretty to just stop and just gaze at it. It's like especially when the sun's out, you see that glare and you get that crystal blue water with the rock work and everything. So whatever they do with that area, I would definitely keep the lagoon.
Yeah, the aesthetics of that area. They can't if they ever replace like the lagoon, or if they build anything in that spot, you have to either keep the lagoon or you have to build something equally as aesthetically beautiful. Like I wouldn't want to see just a big gray box sitting there, or something like that. You have to do something that provides aesthetic value to that area, because it would be really sad to lose the lagoon and then they just put like some show building there. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. Well, which is why I think rock work, whether it's that lagoon or they build something equally as impressive, because you have the Matterhorn right there, and that rock work just that transition's very nice. Then you have the trees and whatnot. So I think it's a very nice, aesthetically pleasing. Plus the lagoon at night is beautiful too with all the colors. I like that.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Frozen would be cool there because the Matterhorn would kind of be like a backdrop to it with all the snow. There's options. But for now, it looks like Autopia is staying. And now this is kind of interesting though. They said that in the next few years. So that's kind of another like, I don't know. That's like a tomorrow kind of thing, right? A little bit like, okay, why not now? We're gonna wait another few years. That's kind of interesting. I don't know. What do you make of that, Cordy? You think that's kind of a are they kind of like basically kind of giving themselves a little bit of a way out in case they change their mind maybe or something like that?
I do. And I think, we haven't heard much about Tomorrowland, and we all know it's like, the elephant in the room, right? Like, what's going on with Tomorrowland already? So it's like, the coolest thing is when they changed the color scheme to Space Mountain, like we were all excited, like, ooh, look at the colors. But other than that, right, it's been kind of.
Yeah.
I think that's basically if one of us walked up to Josh tomorrow and said, "What's up with Tomorrowland?" He'd probably just look at us and say, "I was hoping you could tell me."
Exactly.
Well, actually, no, we could because we have better ideas.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of better ideas,
here we go. There we go. We're gonna talk a little Epcot. This has been the talk of Diz Twitter for like the past few days. Crazy stuff. But this is from mickeyblog.com. A new acrobat show, Forces of Nature, debuted in the World Celebration Gardens at Epcot. And I'll play it here with no sound, but this is basically the gist of it. This has been getting a lot of heat, right? My overall opinion on this show is some people are saying it's inappropriate. I don't think it's inappropriate. Like people are saying, oh, it's like a strip club. Okay. If you haven't been to a strip club in a long time, nobody wears pantyhose at the strip club. It's not happening. It's not happening. So I don't feel like this is a stripper thing at all. This is more Cirque du Soleil, kind of that kind of artsy circus thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not my cup of tea. Would I stop and watch this? Probably not. But hey, entertainment, any kind of kinetic energy is welcome. But again, just for me personally, just for OG, it's just not my style of entertainment. But I don't think it's inappropriate. What do you think, George? I know you got a lot of jokes.
So yes, I did. So the first thing when I first saw the video, I was like, "Hey, when did they hire the Spice Girls to work at Disney?"
There you go, right?
But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I would take it into the consideration that it would be strip club status, like when the wash tag is the biggest piece of cloth on the suit, then you could say that it's strip club material. This is
right.
not.
No, this isn't strip club material.
But yeah, to me, it's just it's not like pleasing, I guess, to the location of where they placed it. Like it gives it more like a Vegas style type of feel to it. So this was something that I would have like maybe at Disney Springs. But in the theme parks. I mean, I don't mind like street performers and stuff, acrobatics into the parks. I just think for Epcot in the location where it's at and everything that they're like putting out to be, it's not cohesive with it. It just seems like they just like plopped it down. It's like, yeah, let's just keep it here. You know, it's carrying this thing around, it's hurting our backs. Let's just leave it right here.
There we go. Wherever it lands, that's fine. What do you think, Cordy? Is this something that you would be interested in when you go to Epcot, or is it kind of?
Well, I'd be curious to see. So I've never been. So, when you talk about placement, trying to visualize where it is. So I'd like to see kind of a bigger view of it. But I feel the same as you, where any entertainment, like I love that. Like, give me, all the dancers and singers and, shows that you can throw out there. I think it's wonderful. So, I mean, I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with it, in my opinion, as far as like it being risque or anything. I think it's, I don't know. Are they supposed to be flowers? Maybe is what because I'm like, they're in the garden. Are they supposed to be like these flowers? And
That's an interesting interpretation. Maybe that's what they're going for here with that. Then like each girl is like a different petal or something. Is that kind of what you're going with, Cordy?
Yeah, just because, right, they have the different wigs on and the way their dresses are. It just that's kind of what my first thought when I saw it, and knowing that it's in the garden area, right? The World Celebration Garden, it says. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long they have to do this, right? Are they like for hours at a time? Maybe
they're gonna get a little dizzy. A little dizzy. What do you think, Michael Eva? Is it? I have a feeling this is not your cup of tea, Eva, but I could be wrong. Are you a big fancy circus guy?
I am not. No. I actually no. When I saw this, I was like, "Oh, look, there's some girls that George brought over." That's what Disney. But okay, I see this, right, and here's the this isn't my cup of tea, right? Now
Right.
it's probably some other people's. That's cool. My issue with this, it's not the girls. I think it's fine. It's just aesthetically, it doesn't work for me. Like this location in the park again. I know I don't know the surrounding area, but just this like sphere thing, and then right here kind of looks like it's in a corner with some trees. I just don't like how it looks. Now maybe if they did like what George said, even like in Disney Springs, or if it was more kind of inclusive into like there were like in trees, or I don't know, something more in nature, I guess, with like a little show that they're doing. But this here, I'm not really a fan of it. If I was there, I would just walk by it. So, and here's the thing too, to you guys' point, right, is, it's just nice having some more entertainment. Because I think
Right.
for the past couple years, we've been used to entertainment or things being taken away, right? And fans were getting tired of that. You're taking away entertainment, but you're increasing prices, so we're getting less and paying more, right? So I think it's nice that they're finally bringing more stuff back to the parks. But this here, yeah, I mean, I think they should either put this somewhere else or do something different with the girls, whatever they're doing here. This here just doesn't work for me. I don't. Maybe just send them to George's house or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same as you with this. I just wouldn't have much interest in it. It's very Cirque du Soleil, and that's just not my style. That's not my thing, but hey, look, there is a market for that. Obviously, that's a very successful performance. People like Cirque du Soleil. I can never say it. Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil.
There you go.
Oh, wait.
Said.
Wait, sorry, OG. I just had an idea. So how Universal is doing that kind of Halloween Horror Nights all year round type of deal?
Right.
In Las Vegas. What if Disney did something, not that, but they did something like this that was more circusy like, but this type of stuff, but it was Disney branded in Las Vegas?
That would be interesting. That probably would do very well in Vegas. Absolutely. If they had something like that where they do Disney performances in this kind of style, like these big productions though, right? Like high budget stuff. So that might work. That might work. So let's talk a little bit about Disney parks after hours, specifically Disneyland after hours events. Okay. I've only been to, admittedly, only one, the Oogie Boogie Bash. with this guy right here with the Italiano, which we had a great time. And shout out to tour guide Jackie. She was amazing. Every time we mention Oogie Boogie Bash, we got to bring Jackie up.
Bring up
She's
Jackie.
A+ cast member, incredible. But I'll start with you, Ebba, and then we'll kind of go around the panel. I'm going to actually bring up now. This is a picture of you and your wife.
Yes.
Now, what after hours event was this that you guys were at?
So the reason why I gave you this picture is because if you look what we're wearing, our lanyards, I don't have those lanyards anymore. And the reason being is because they were made so freaking cheaply that they kind of like the thing on the bottom broke off, and I was like, there's no point in having this, so I just threw it out. Okay, so in my opinion on the After Dark events tickets as a whole, okay, granted, I haven't been to every single one of them, but I have been to a couple. I have some things here I'll show you. Is Sweethearts Night. This was actually on our anniversary because we got married on Valentine's Day. So we went here. I think this was the first event of Sweethearts Night that they had, so we went to it. And no, it was cool. You know, I mean, they had like the light. You can tell like the lighting because this picture here was that area where it's by Galaxy's Edge and Thunder Mountain, that big rock work right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's where it was. They had those cool lighting. You know, they had fireworks that was cool. They had like treats and stuff. But here's my kind of overall problem with all the events. I think they cost too much for the time spent in the park and what you're getting. That's just my opinion. After this event, me and my wife both said that wasn't worth it. I know for a lot of people it was. They leveled the photo ops, they leveled the treats. That's so great and stuff like that. But our issue was the lines were so long to do all those things that it wasn't worth spending all that time when you only had like 4 or 5 hours in the park. So, you know, and on top of that, so we've done Sweetheart Night. I've also done Star Wars Night.
Oh, okay. How was that one?
You know, it was, you know, they had fireworks again. This was one of the biggest things that happened was they had characters like Ewoks and whatever. But dude, lines were going like crazy around corners for characters. I couldn't see any of them because the lines were so long. And then the food and merchandise, like people were going crazy for the merchandise, lines out the store, and it just I couldn't do anything because I felt like it wasn't worth the time and the money I spent to get the ticket to spend in just the lines, really.
That's fair. So you felt more like you were at like a D23 or something, where it was a lot of line waiting, a lot of queuing up, stuff like that.
Exactly. And then
sorry, you said the D word. I twitched.
Yeah, Cordy, just so you know, George had a situation trying to get tickets. Oh, to put it nicely, a situation. Go ahead, Emma. I do apologize there.
No, you're good. You're good. And then I've also went to this.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this, while it was cool, was crazy packed. I mean, like you had Pinocchio, that was like an hour plus wait. Like all the lines were crazy packed. I was there from like that early morning of the day previously, and then all the way up till like that night, which is obviously my fault. Super tired, but it was crazy packed. Every line was like an hour plus long wait. It was insane. Super cool though. And then the other one I went to, which technically isn't like Disney itself, but this was like a more of a third party or a second party, I guess, which was this guy.
What is that one?
Oh, is that the Disney Dreams?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard of that. What is that one exactly? I never heard of that. What's Disney Dreams?
So this is the Diz and Dreams.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so that was at DCA. That was at their private party event that they had with Disney. I thought that was cool because the party. I mean, yeah, it was only sectioned to a land, not the whole park. But you know, they had free popcorn, free ice cream. You know, they had like this cool little like platter dessert party that we got to have for free. Alcohol was for free, right? And I feel like with these After Dark events, there's a lot of stuff you still have to pay for. So you pay all this money to get the ticket. And then, you know, to go in, right? So I know pass holders do this all the time, right? I mean, me included, because I did it, you know, so you're paying for your pass, then you pay for an extra ticket for like 4 hours at minimum to go in. There's a bunch of lines to do like some photo pass stuff, which in my opinion, so some were okay. Some I saw that weren't, I wouldn't ever wait for at all. And then there's food options, which then again, you still had to pay for those as well. And I felt like, okay, these were more, for me, were more like nickel and dime events. And it's like, well, I can pay probably a little bit less price or the same price and get a full day at Disneyland.
That's fair.
I don't know. So to me, that's just what it was. I know people love them, and I respect that. That's great. But just for me and my wife with this event, like we just didn't think it was worth it. Now we did do Oogie Boogie. That one we thought was worth it because you saw all the cool characters. You got to see them up close, doing the treat trails as many times as you want. You got to wear like a costume. All the rides were open. You know, you had Guardians of the Monsters After Dark thing, which I didn't do because I was scared. But that's a story for another time. Anyways, but and plus, you know, they had the parade that was there, so they had a lot more stuff to offer. I feel like, and that you didn't waste your time waiting for everything and taking up your time. So I thought
Okay.
that was really cool. So which I
Cool.
really liked Oogie Boogies.
So the
Perfect.
next time you describe that, Mike, if you could just be a little bit more specific.
Fantastic.
But I actually have a question for you, Mike, and depending
Yeah.
on what your answer is, then I have another question to that, and that also proclaims to Cordy, because I'm for sure you guys do a lot of the after hour events. So when you said you went to the Diz and Dreams Unlimited party,
Yeah.
that was more like of a second, obviously like a second, third party
Right.
type of thing. Would you say that was a much better experience? Take Oogie Boogie out, but would you say that alone was better than the Star Wars or the Sweetheart events?
I would say so. See, because here's the thing: it's hard to compare, George, because here's the thing: with the Diz event, you only had Avengers Campus. You didn't have the entire park. So with the After Dark events, you at least have the entire park
Okay.
to do. Right?
Okay. So let me rephrase the question. Were you able to see and do more, even though despite that amount of space, were you able to get a lot more in than having the whole park and seeing less? Because I guess more so what I'm kind of getting at is I wonder if Disney with these after hour events, if they're overselling the tickets with too many people within one night.
Okay, so I tell you this, I really enjoyed this event, right? Because like I say, you know, we first had that reception area where I got to meet, you know, pretty much all of the Diz team and even some of the travel agents that were there. So that was awesome. And then I got to talk to other fans of the Diz, you know, channel and team members that were there as well. So that was cool being able to talk to them, find out where they're from or whatnot, right? It's like a little community thing. And then they had, you know, like the little appetizers and stuff and alcohol you can have. Then after that, it was free range at Avengers Campus. You know, you can go on Guardians or Spider-Man as many times as you want. They had like unlimited popcorn you can eat, unlimited ice cream you can eat. And they had characters that were out and about you can take pictures with, you know, and then of course, you know, like I actually went on Guardians with Craig and Corey, so that was like super cool for me, you know. So yeah, I thought that was, you know, worth it more too because it wasn't too crowded, you know, and then people just went, like as the night went on, people just started going home, right? Yeah, it was going to that little land, but I felt like it was more worth it for me for that.
Interesting.
What say you, Cordy? Do you think a lot of these events are after, like, I mean, do you think they're overly sold with the amount of guests that they take in a night where it's like you can't really see or do too much and you kind of have to pick and choose?
I do, but I think they could solve the problem by having multiple. I know characters, maybe not with the characters because that's, you know, you can't have them. There's two Mickeys. There's two,
Yeah, right.
you know, but there are a lot of photo opportunities where it's just the background or, you know,
Yeah.
some sort of set that's set up. And I think that's one area that they could improve on is having, some have two, but you know, three, four, just, you know, they need to add those because that's really a bummer having to wait in line when you're not even meeting a character. You know, you're like, oh gosh, I'm just waiting for this background. But you know, like Disney Channel night, that was the last one I went to, which was amazing. I had so much fun. But yeah, that was kind of rough. And then all of the events that I've been to in, you know, at the front by the railroad station, right, Main Street, they always have some sort of iconic photo op. So I can say when we did throwback night, like people were upset that they couldn't get a picture with that car, right? They had like the you know, half of the car there and everybody wanted a picture with that in the Disneyland sign. So like complaining, really, really upset. And then the next night they let everybody take pictures. You know what I mean? They were letting you after, because we were wondering, okay, so they cut off the line, but now there's no one there for that last, kind of hour or half hour. And we weren't allowed to even, they were like standing there, you shall not pass. We couldn't take our picture with this car, but it was a really, it was really cool. So I did get my picture the second night, but I just think, I don't think that there's too many, they're overselling, because as far as like, you can go on any ride. There's no wait for anything. So that's a plus. So, and I don't mean to go off on like a different topic here, but it's related, where I kind of tell people, if you want to go, so if you're not a pass holder and you don't go frequently to the parks, but you love Disneyland, these are really good events for you to go and like go on all the rides. So say you're not really concerned about photo ops, you're like, but I don't like to wait in line, I don't want to pay for Genie.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, you can use that the mix-in time, and then to just kind of walk around and enjoy the park, and then the after hours portion of it to go on rides and maybe try a few foods. But it's there's room for improvement. And I will say with Oogie Boogie, I do appreciate more of the walkthrough photo ops, because those I did a few times because I was trying to get content, right? So I'm like, okay, let's go through again. But I think that's a much better way to kind of go about it, to just kind of move people through quicker. But I love them personally, and I will continue to go just because I just enjoy going.
Now, I have to ask you, have you been to the 90s night one with the Disney afternoon?
No, but I know that's one that everybody wants.
I want it back because I didn't even get to go, and I want it back because it was like I could kick myself for not getting a ticket to that, because I watched a lot of vloggers and YouTube videos, and I'm like, why didn't I buy a ticket? Like, why do I torture myself?
and the fireworks show with all the Disney afternoon theme songs. I mean, it was this, and I'm not like, honestly, full disclosure, I'm not usually like an after hours kind of guy. Like, I've only been to Oogie Boogie Bash one time, and that was recently, this past season, in September with George. I don't really, that's the only one I ever did. But like you, George, I saw that, and I'm like, the fireworks show and stuff, it was so well done. But Cordy, you went recently to the Disney Channel night, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at how good the word of mouth from that thing was. Was it really good? Was it really fun? I mean, I was surprised that everyone seemed to really like it.
Yeah, I think it was funny because I went with a group of people, so that made it kind of added to it. But I feel like they really hit their demographic, like who they were going for on that. Like, they were just singing and dancing, on Main Street, and I think they did a great job of focusing it on that group of, that age group, I guess. But even, and I knew it because, with my kids, so I'm like, oh, I know all this because, I've heard it all, so I knew what it was. But a few people that I was with, they didn't know, but they're just fun people, so they're like pulling up the lyrics, right? Shazamming. Okay, we'll just sing along. We're gonna have fun with this.
That's awesome.
So, and I think that was it. The energy was really like, it was just so like full of joy and just fun. I think they did, and doing the shows, because they had like a show called The Descendants, and they did a show on the bridge, so Pirates, right over the bridge over Pirates, and then the second show they did, and they had the fog coming in, so then you had like the Columbia in the background. They did another set there. So I think for a first time event, right, this first Disney Channel night, they did a really good job with that one.
So sorry, I just want to say, I think that's what I kind of, Cordy, I think that's what I want to see more of from these events, right? Because I feel like at least some of the ones I've been to, that there's, at least for me, maybe I'm like OG, maybe these events just aren't for me, right? Maybe there's not for me and I just don't like them, right? And other people do, that's great. But I feel like there needs to be more. And the thing is that if you were to ask me, well, what do you think they should add more in? my answer is I don't know what they should add. So that's the hard part because I think there needs to be more, but I don't know what should be more. I don't know if it's like a show like with the Columbia in the background or something, or like an exclusive parade plus fireworks. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I just think that
So basically, what you're saying is what they're giving you now. It's like it's like no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But again, like I say, these after dark events probably just aren't for me. I'm probably not the demographic that they're looking for, which is fine.
Yeah.
I will say though, speaking of really quick, sorry, Mike, not to cut you off. Of what you were describing, of what you were describing, Cordy. There was a part of the event. Now, I like the show, but I love the soundtrack, the music to it of Phineas and Ferb, and a lot of people. Because I'm a fan of like The Best Day Ever and Gitchy Goo, and I love all that Phineas and Ferb music. But like these people, I don't know if it was at the stage where they used to have like the Jedi training by the Galactic Grill. I think that's where it was located, but every person that had posted that video online, these people were rocking out. Like they were literally singing the lyrics. They were fist bumping, and I'm like, dang, like this is my kind of crowd. Like it's like because I would be like, if I was there, I would have like kind of like stood up like on the like those side steps, and I would have just jumped, and I would have just had people like just surfing me through the crowd. I don't care. Like, that's my jam.
Extrovert, man.
Yeah, George is not a shy person at all. Like at all. That's wild.
That was pretty cool. That was like walking through there. Like it was almost you almost couldn't get through. Like you almost couldn't cross through there. And that seeing that, because I get like we do the dance shows for the kids, right? That's great. But I wish they would do that during the day, and then at night, I think we need to, or at least on the weekends, Friday through Sunday or Thursday through Saturday, whatever. But it needs to kind of go back to, more for the teens or the adults, kind of thing at night, because there's not much there for us right now.
Yeah.
So Cordy, I have a question for you. Do you remember, and George, what you guys might remember too, do you remember, what was that, a couple years ago or so, there was that awful disaster of the Christmas party night? Did you remember that? And like people felt like they got ripped off because they literally got nothing that was exclusive to the party, pretty much, except the bulb lights that they got around.
I think I remember hearing that.
So this was
that one. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this was the Christmas one, the After Hours Christmas, and they only did it for one season, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So what happened, as far as I understand, they got the same parade we got during the day. Like pretty much anything that was you got during the day, you got at the Christmas party. There was.
I remember that. I remember hearing that.
And yeah, people were upset about that one. I was like, yeah, that was a bad show, Disney. Bad show, man.
What? and speaking of a little bit of a disaster, and speaking of D23, but now with a lot of these, their ticketing system kind of ways, because I remember when I got Oogie Boogie tickets, not with OG, but the other time I got Oogie Boogie tickets, like it was, I remember the first time I attempted to do it, the site crashed and they had to reschedule it for another day. I was in the queue for like 4 hours, and it was like, then I was able to get the tickets and everything, but especially after the fiasco with D23, I noticed that Disney utilizes the same kind of ticketing system for all these kind of events, where it crashes, it doesn't give the guests what they desire, they have to reschedule it. It's like, of why Disney doesn't change this process or what have you. Cordy, do you feel like that? I mean, do you see of how I see it? Like, do you usually get the tickets very easily, or do you see that Disney does have an issue with their ticketing system?
I definitely think something's broken, because there are issues. And what I will say is, like, for Disney Channel night, or Star Wars night, excuse me, that was easy, because how they kind of staggered it, right? You're like, okay, Magic Key. I just seemed to run a lot smoother in the beginning. So I got mine the first day I was on right away, and within 2 hours, I think I had my tickets. But but yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people like with between them getting magic keys, right? Not this time around, but the last time that they had them on sale. And then Oogie Boogie, just a mess. But yeah, some things I don't know why I've heard it's a very archaic,
Well, I will say you described the events ticketing system as being broken. I take the D23 ticketing system as completely shattered, beaten with a baseball bat, and then lit on fire. That's basically like it was a complete nightmare. Nightmare.
Well, I just don't understand, George, why for all these ticket events, right? I just understand why there isn't the system is just not. Again, I'm not a software or IT expert, so please don't yell at me, people. I get it, but I just don't understand why the system isn't a step to where whoever clicks the button first gets in the queue, right? Just like if you were to stand in line at an attraction, right? George, you get ahead of me, you're first, and then I'm second, then Cordy's third, OG's fourth.
Right.
Otherwise, if us three are in line and then all of a sudden OG pops in and he cuts in front of George, hey, and we're like, what the hell, dude?
Right.
Now, I can't remember, refresh my memory, because as I said, it's been a couple years for actually getting the tickets for Oogie Boogie. When you're sitting there waiting for like the page to click down, does a button come up for you to click into the queue, or does it just automatically redirect you into the virtual queue?
I'm not sure, because when we went, we
had the
we didn't have to do all that. Cordy, do you remember if there was like a button or?
Yeah, I mean it's there's a whole thing like make sure you log in first because you'll be crying at the end when you're not already logged in and you can't purchase. Yeah, I mean, I know clicking on a link and then it takes you to that page, right? Whatever they pop up, whether it's Thunder Mountain, right? The goat and everything. But yeah, and then it just has that little bar. It has a timer to let you know, right? That, how long you're going to wait. And then it goes down as you get closer and then it goes back up. So it teases you a little, but yeah. So, it's pretty straightforward as far as that goes. And I was thinking, I don't know if this is why they kind of do this queuing system where it's random, but I don't know if it was originally intended for, like if there's bots or, like these people buying tickets before we can get them, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or whatever. So I don't know if that's the reason why they're doing kind of the random queue.
That actually did happen this time with D23. There were bots that were in placement in line that people were buying multiple tickets because for some bizarre reason for the D23 tickets as is that they made it to where it wasn't non-transferable. So now you can transfer to other people. So these bots were being placeholders in line and these people were buying the tickets and now they're on these third-party websites getting sold for quadruple the amount.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So whether it's D23 After Dark events, including Oogie Boogie or Magic Keys, what they need to stop doing, and it drives me crazy, and George, you brought it up time and time and again, is stop letting like all these people into a queue to get these tickets or keys when you're not selling that amount. So if you're selling 1,000, don't let in 2,000. Don't let in 1,001. Into the queue. Don't make people waste their time and wait in line if they have no chance of getting a ticket or a key in the first place.
That's a great point. Yeah, you had that issue with D23, right, George? They put in more people.
Yeah, for the Honda Center, they said it's going to double the capacity, so they were allowing about 12,000 people in there for each presentation. But essentially, they let in 69,000 plus people into the queue for a 12,000 seat venue. Yeah, that worked out perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Cordy, are you going to D23? Were you able to get tickets or no?
I am not. I decided we had talked about this on our the park streamers, and I just didn't want to go.
Yeah. No, I get it. I've only been once actually, and it was a good time. But see, I didn't really have a family member has a is in Hollywood, and so he he had a connection to the WandaVision show. So we got into the studio panel, but I didn't have to go through all the rigmarole, whatever, to get all this stuff. So for me, it was like a really super stressful thing, because he was like, hey, you know what? Disney sent me these things because I helped the show. So you want to come? I'm like, yeah, I'll come, but going through the process though, of like what George is talking about and all this other stuff, I don't know if it would be worth it. I don't think I would put myself through all that.
And this year was rigor mortis. That's what it was.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, I had a good time for sure. Like the studio panel was really, really dope, but like, I don't have to do that every year. Personally, if I'm going to get a D23 membership, I'd rather do the studio tour. And
I forget who mentioned it on Twitter today, and who was it? Was it Tyler or Lucas? Somebody mentioned on Twitter that to have now the D23 fan event, it used to be the expo, but now it's just the fan event, ultimate fan event, yes. That they have it every other year. Maybe it's best that they kind of space it out a bit, like give it like several years, because now if they kind of throw everything at us this year, then they're kind of, I don't want to say setting themselves up for failure for the next 2 years, but how much more can really be said in the next 2 years? And then these guests expect more because they say, okay, it has to be better than the last one. But to Disney's credit, again, it's out of their control. You can't go from like something spectacular to something even more spectacular in 2 years. So it's like, but then guests are, they'd say, well, that wasn't worth it. Like the last one was great. Why is this one? Well, there's only so much you could fit in 2 years, where maybe if they wait like 3 or 4 years, at least it spaces enough out where you can get more information, more announcements, and that kind of thing. But as I said, I think for me, it's Disney has to fix their ticketing system. And actually, the video that we brought up yesterday, courtesy of Daps Magic, shout out to him, when he was at the media event for D23, someone actually asked a question because they were in talks about sending emails individually to guests that maybe like that prior sign up for a specific event. Right. They send an email, you click the link, it personally takes you in rather than sitting in a virtual queue. And actually some of the D23 reps were saying they are actually looking into that, which I think that would be better all the way around. If Disney does like the email route, I think that would be much less of a headache than going into these virtual queues. It's like virtual queues for everything nowadays. It's like a virtual queue for a ride, virtual queue for an event. Sooner or later, we'll have to get into a virtual queue to go into the restroom. Like it's like,
or a virtual queue to get into the virtual queue.
Yeah,
it's wild. Go ahead, Eva.
Oh no, I was saying, that sounds like a better controlled system instead of just this random chaotic mess of everybody fighting. Hunger Game status, like just trying to get tickets for seats. It's crazy, man. And George, you're right. Like, because although I've never been to D23, it always confused me why Disney did this like every 2 years, because these projects, attraction show, these take a long time from concept, to then full on, it's paid for, it's greenlit to go, it's ready, right? Like these take a long time to do. So I think if you had one every 5 years, I think that'd be great, because that allows Disney to start, the concept, then production, and then now we got our voice actors, our music, our whatever, right? And then now we can start building this thing, and then now we make this big great announcement. Hey guys, look what we got. This is all ready to. This is stuff we all have in a pipeline. It's already been budgeted for. This is what we have, right? That'd be so cool. So I would be fine if they did that, actually.
Now, Cordy, can I ask you? Aside from the ticketed events, just the normal events that go on at the Disneyland Resort, like the food and wine and the upcoming the Pixar event that's going to be coming up. What say you? Do you think that they are just as equal of offerings as the paid events, or do you think that because it's a paid event, you get more out of it than what you see in just like the regular day events?
Well, that's a tough one, because I think I love like food and wine. Now, granted, I've only, attended maybe like actively attended the food and wine portion of it 3 times since it's been open. And I have a whole, like, I don't know if it's true, or if it's real, but I always say go the first day. Go to these things like, the first 1, 2, 3 days, that first weekend, because I don't know, it just, the energy's different. The food is really good. And then as it goes on, it kind of dips, and then at the end it picks up a little. So I don't know. I think what's tough is, and I like to go the first night for the after dark events. So, but I like that. I like to go in and like I don't know what's happening. Like I know I spent this amount of money, but I'm like, no, I want to see like what worked, what didn't. And then of course I'm live streaming, so I'm able to share with people, and they use that to base, will I go, right? If there's tickets for additional nights, am I going to, go to that one? Like, let me see what's going on there first. So I didn't answer your question, but it's hard to say, because I do feel like you get a lot with the after dark events. It's just a personal choice. Like it is a lot of money, and it's, you have to decide, good or bad. Am I going to spend this money? And
well, that's like with my Disney habit. That's why I only have one kidney.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I feel with the after hours events, I think the advantage of the after hours events is that you can really do an actual like takeover of the park. Like with Pixar Fest, you have the banners and the bunting and all that stuff, right? But with the after hours events, it's like ramped up because it's after hours. It's just for this thing. So it takes that kind of like that celebration to like the next level. I think, it's a more controlled environment. So I think that's a benefit. Here's the thing too. I mean, like with Pixar Fest, you bring up Pixar Fest, George. Yeah, that's a weird one for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's cute. A lot of fans get super mad over it. I'm not going to get mad over something that's temporary. I'm sorry. That's for me. I'm not going to waste my energy and my mental health over something that's only going to be here for 3 months. I'm not mad over it, but for me, it's okay. I thought the fireworks show was pretty cute. I think it's like Friends Forever, I think it's called, or something like that. It was cute, but I don't know. It's kind of I mean, look, if you're asking me, George, I mean, I've only been to one after hours event. If you're going to compare Oogie Boogie to something like Pixar Fest or something like what's another or the 100th, I'm picking Oogie Boogie. Yeah. But
I have to say, out of all the after hour events that I've been to thus far, Oogie Boogie Bash has yet to disappoint for me. Because as Michael had mentioned earlier, I love how they utilize the characters in a way where you're not standing in a 4 or 5 hour wait just to meet them, even though you can't necessarily get an autograph or an actual picture, but you can kind of turn as you're passing and you could get a selfie, and you could interact with some of the characters like Ernesto de la Cruz and Madame Mim. When we were there, OG, Madame Mim, like she was like on her game.
Yeah, she was funny, dude.
Yeah, she was awesome.
She was funny. And I like that because that's kind of like a deep cutty kind of character. A lot of kids nowadays, I mean, Sword in the Stone isn't like a hot IP by any means, you know what I'm saying? So like that's a character that a lot of kids might not even know who that is. So I like when Disney kind of takes a little bit of a chance with some of that lesser known stuff. It doesn't always have to be Frozen or, Toy Story and, these things. I like when they kind of go that route, I think it's kind of cool. She stole the show. Go ahead, Emma.
She did.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say, or like, I mean, I haven't seen it when I went, but I know at other Oogie Boogie parties, they have Mickey, Donald, Goofy in their Kingdom Hearts outfits.
See, stuff like that's cool. I love that. I absolutely love that. So interesting stuff.
Which I have to say really quick, because you brought that up. Good friend of the channel, Kaylee, actually had met Mickey, Donald, and Goofy in their Kingdom Hearts outfits. She doesn't really know too much of the lore of Kingdom Hearts, but she knows of it. So because she's one that she loves to have like full on engagement and conversation with the characters. And and Kaylee is like the queen of asking like the best questions ever.
Oh my God. I love when Kaylee's in the live chats, it's like the best. She asks the best questions.
Yeah.
Like,
so she approaches Mickey and she says like, "Where's Sora?" You know, and for all of you who don't know, Sora is the main character, the hero of the first several games, and Mickey's just standing there looking like, "Who's Sora?"
Oh, man,
and she said she walked away and she was like, "Boy, that was a big letdown."
So funny. He's like, I don't know. That's hilarious. Yeah, shout out to Kaylee. She's awesome.
Yes.
Shout out to Kaylee. Absolutely. But Cordy, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Oh, really, really fun time. Thank you so much. If you could remind everybody at home where they can find you on social media and all that good stuff. And I do also want to say, everybody at home, I will be linking all her information, her socials, and her CHOC Walk, all in the description. For you can click on it, so a little easier. But Cordy, if you can remind everybody before we take off today.
Of course. So Cordy in California. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch.
There it is. Make sure you follow her, subscribe to her, support Cordy in California. She does a lot of great live streams from Disneyland, from Disneyland and everything. She's there all the time. A lot of great content. Make sure you check her out for sure.
And I just have to say, and I mean this with the most up respect, but every time like I hear like the title of Cordy in California, it strikes me as like the sequel to the Californication show. Like it's like I love that. I love that show. Like I loved Californication. So like anytime like I hear like somebody's name like tied to California, I don't know why, it just brings me back to Californication.
I've never seen that show. I've never seen it. Is that with David Duchovny?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's good.
Yes.
It's good.
And I am Candy in California, not officially, but after a certain time, it all came from somebody we met on Guardians. And
nice.
He was the best hype man, and he's like, "Wow, you're live. Oh, what's your channel name?" So I give him a sticker. All right, Candy in California.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was loving that.
That's awesome. That's actually awesome.
That's so cool.
I actually use a service for a lot of my graphics and stuff for the channel. It's called Fiverr.com. And a lot of the artists and stuff will be like from overseas and what have you. And this one guy, it's Orange Grove, obviously. And he did a beautiful intro, all the beautiful graphics. But he made it Orange Groove. Like, oh man,
the Emperor's Orange Groove.
Exactly.
Welcome to the groove.
Welcome to the groove. Very groovy. Speaking of groovy, we got a Groovy George over here. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media, Groovy George.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There we go, Mr. Sticky Icky. And then down below, last but certainly not least, the one, the only, Mr. Michael Ebba. If you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely, OG. You can find me on Instagram, Michael Ebba. You can also find me on Twitter /X at Michael Ebba 1991. And also you can find me here on OG 55, where I'm Spider-Man saving these guys.
Yeah. The police scanner is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
You got to get out there, brother. You know what I'm saying?
And when you're swinging those webs, thanks for giving us the right fingers this time.
Exactly. Accident, right? Emma?
What's all?
Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about. The new Epcot Entertainment, the Disneyland Resort After Hours events. They got Autopia news today. Would love to hear from you. Comment down below. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.
세상은 누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.